Today we're talking about the progress I have made after 150 miles of Maffetone training. It's quite cool. I crunched the numbers and it's quite cool. Let's get into it.
Went a little hot there. Heart rate went over 150.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Brendan, and if this is your first time on the channel, we talk all things running, from running shoe reviews like these carbon fiber plated beauties right here, to Maffetone training, to everything in between, all things running. But we have one common goal: to make us all stronger, better, faster, happier runners. So if that's something you're into, consider hitting that subscribe button right down below. It would mean a lot. All right, let's get into the progress after 150 miles. So a little bit of the backstory for my Maffetone journey. If you haven't been following along, I'm 26, so that means my MAF number is 154. 180 minus my age gives you that upper limit of your Maffetone range, but I barely ever go that high. I'm typically around like 140. Actually, I crunched the numbers and my average heart rate through all of my MAF runs has been 138 point some decimal. I don't know, I'll put it on the screen right here. And the reason for that is because I didn't want to push myself even that hard. I wanted to see if I could go out there at a comfortable pace and still get progress. Spoiler alert, I have improved, so let's get into how much faster I'm able to go now for that same heart rate compared to what I was at the beginning of my MAF journey. So how I've done this is I've done 55 MAF runs, and I looked at the first 27 runs, did an average of the power, the heart rate, and the pace, and then I looked at the latter 28 runs, looked at the heart rate, the power, the pace, all that stuff, so we can see how much more the later half has improved over that first half. Let's get into it. So we can see here from my first 27 runs, my average heart rate was 138 on the nose. My average pace was 6 minutes and 18 seconds per kilometer, and my average power is 215 and change. If we look at the latter 28 runs, my average pace is 6 minutes and 1 second per kilometer, average heart rate of 139.5, and an average power of 227 watts. Now, yes, I do like to look at my average power because if you haven't seen my last video of how running power is really good for MAF training, go check that out. But I love keeping track of my power number as well as my heart rate. So I've mentioned this before, but I'm an engineer, so clearly I love the data. And I want to see how much I've actually improved, not based off feelings, not based off how I'm feeling in the morning when I get up. I want to see the cold hard numbers, if they're decreasing or increasing for a given effort. So if we look at the first 27 runs that I did, my average pace was 6 minutes and 18 seconds per kilometer. If we look at the later 28 runs, my average pace was around 6 minutes and 1 second per kilometer. So it's about 17 seconds per kilometer faster, or 5% faster, give or take. I think it's more like 4.9%, but I'm gonna round up. My power on average has increased by 12 watts per run, which again, interestingly enough, is around 5.3% increase per run in my power numbers, which is pretty cool. But we have to remember, my heart rate is a little bit higher over these last 28 runs. If it's 5% higher, pretty much what we're putting in is what we're getting out, so that's not much of an increase. However, if we look at it, my average heart rate of 139.5 beat per minute is only 1% higher than that initial 138 numbers. So what that means is I'm putting in 1% more of effort and I'm getting out over 5% more in performance, which is pretty fantastic. That's more than the Nike Next percent. They claim 4%. I've been doing MAF training for 28 runs, and guys, I'm getting 5% extra. So you guys can send your Nike Alphafly money over my way if you want, and I'll tell you how I've been doing it. So that's pretty impressive. So my pace and power numbers are 5% higher than the first 27 runs. So progress, right? Right, and there's something else we have to mention. The last 28 runs have been done in the middle of summer when that heat is pounding down on you and the humidity is making it so hard for you to breathe, you feel like you're being choked out. So that number is actually probably a little bit higher. Now that the temperatures are falling, I'm gonna go do a long run today to see exactly how the lower temperatures are affecting me. It's like 13 degrees Celsius, guys. It's fantastic for running. No humidity whatsoever. Although I do live in Nova Scotia, so I'm pretty much surrounded by water. So not much we can do there. But yes, all that to say, MAF training is definitely working in terms of my performance. I'm definitely able to get more out for putting in almost the same amount of effort, like 1% more effort. I'm getting much more out than I was before. So that's a good sign. That's a really good sign. So we can't say anything bad about the numbers. For 1% more effort, I'm getting 5% more performance, which is, I think, pretty fantastic. For almost like, and that wasn't hard to do. Math runs are super easy. Hard on the head, hard on the mentality, but they're really easy to do day in and day out. So it's all good, right? Like, I'm getting more performance for almost the same effort. Perfect. It's all good. So why don't you just keep on doing it day in and day out? There's some downsides, and I have to make you aware of them. So one of the biggest downsides, and I've talked about this before, is because you're going so slow and your turnover, your cadence is relatively low, it's pretty hard to go fast. Whenever I try to pick up the pace, like going 4-minute per kilometer pace, which wasn't that out of my realm beforehand, but going that fast now feels pretty awkward. I can do it, and aerobically, I'm able to keep up with it. However, my lag turnover just feels extremely clunky and awkward, and I really do believe that's because of the slower math runs. So to combat that though, again, I spoke about this before, but to combat the slower turnover, I'm gonna start implementing the fartlek runs. I was going to through the summer, but decided why not just take that time to build a better aerobic base. But now the weather's getting cooler and the runs are getting more and more boring, so let's start mixing up, throwing in some fartleks, I'm thinking. Why not, right? So that's one thing I'm going to change, is to introduce more fartleks. And this next thing that I'm going to introduce isn't necessarily to do with math training, but it does blend into running training as a whole, and that is introducing more strength training. Now, I did pick up one of those stability discs. I want to strengthen my ankles and my feet and all that stuff, so I'm going to start using that. I've already started implementing some of the strength running. I've spoke about him before. He has a bunch of strength routines online for core strength, and overall, I think there's an IT band recovery strength routine. There's some cool stuff on his website. Go check it out. But I've started implementing the core routine because I, unfortunately, don't have that strong of a core. So yes, overall, what I'm going to start implementing on top of my math runs is more fartleks and some strength training. And what I think that will do is shift me more towards like a 90-10 approach, where 90% of my runs are all at that low intensity zone 2, zone 1 type style, and that 10% will be at that higher intensity fartlek and strength training. I think that's the way forward for me, and I think that will be able to give me a good mix. Now, this next thing we're going to talk about is kind of fun. It's maybe just all personal preference. Well, it's 100% personal preference, but I want to talk about the running shoes that have did me pretty well through my math training journey, starting with the Clifton 7. Now, the Clifton 7 is fantastic for math runs, I've been finding. So think about it. Just run with me here for a minute. Clifton 7s are extremely cushiony. They have so much stack height, and that stack height is very plush. It's very squishy. You sink into it. Now, those are really good for easy days usually, but with math, pretty much every day is an easy day. And I really do appreciate having that extra comfort, because when you're going slow, you're spending more time on the ground compressing before you go to that next step. Your ground contact time is quite high, your cadence is low. So for me personally, I love having that extra bit of cushion. That's where the Clifton 7 really shines. Now, I was using the Triumph 17 back when I first started, and you know what? The Triumph line, it did do the trick, but the Clifton 7 is just on its own planet. I love it so much, but I can't wait to start doing fartleks so I can start using these type of shoes, guys. I have the Endorphin Pro, the Brooks Hyperion Elite 2, the Endorphin Speed. I have a bunch of speed shoes that just haven't been getting used as much as I would have liked to. But that's a topic for another video. We're talking about the math progress. So overall, guys, yes, math training is definitely working for me. I know I'm only 150 miles in, well, 167 to be exact. So I have a lot more to go to better build my aerobic base, but I don't want to do pure math anymore, if I'm being totally honest. It's getting a little stale. So I'm going to start introducing those fartleks. Again, keeping 90% of my runs at that math heart rate range though, but mixing it up a bit. That wraps up the status update, guys. Really appreciate you making it to the end of the video. Hope you got something out of this. I'm not a math training expert by any means. I'm just mixing it up, trying to do my own thing and get better, stronger, faster at running while being a happier runner. All right, guys, thank you all so much. I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good evening.